Welcome to Local Whidbey Podcast. I'm Magsy, and this is another episode of our Reinvention series, where we explore the people who have found new purpose by embracing change. Sometimes reinvention isn't about starting over. It's about taking everything you've learned in one chapter of your life and applying it in an entirely new way. Today's guest is Andrea Mansfield, owner of Little Gemme, a resale boutique in Langley, built on the idea that fashion can be joyful, sustainable, and deeply personal. Before opening Little Gemme, Andrea spent 15 years as a life coach in Portland, Oregon, helping people build confidence and navigate life's transitions. When that chapter naturally came to a close, she and her wife made a bold decision. They put all of their belongings in storage, left Portland, and set out to travel and search for a place where they could build a new life in a welcoming, inclusive community. That journey led them to Whidbey Island. What began as an online boutique eventually became a pop-up shop where carefully curated clothing and accessories reflect Andrea's belief that what we wear isn't just about style, it's about feeling comfortable, authentic, and confident in who we are. Today, we'll talk about knowing when one chapter has ended, taking risk in pursuit of a life that better reflects your values, and why sometimes the greatest reinvention isn't changing who you are, it's finally becoming more of yourself. Andrea, welcome to the Local Whidbey Podcast. Hey, Andrea. Thanks for having me in your home. It's so magical out here.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm excited for this conversation, honestly.
Me too. Okay, so listener, she lives like in the yard near Kirk Gardens, and it's so beautiful, and the trees all canopy the drive into here. And, I was telling her that my view is beautiful, and I feel I have a magical place that I live, but this is super magical.
Thank you.
And how long have you been here? Real
Just
quick?
over a year.
Just over a year.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah. The first time we saw the house, and we were kind of him and high because it came together fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother was with me, and he said, "You would be absolute idiots if you did not buy this house." And he was 100% right.
100. Okay, so you made a huge decision to sell almost everything, like I said in the intro, and travel before setting somewhere new. What inspired that leap?
Oh my gosh. It was kind of a freight train that wasn't stopping kind of a
Oh,
decision. We were
okay.
in Portland. It was 2024. Just a series of choices had sort of culminated in a pressure cooker of stuff, just financially and our vocationally and just mentally and emotionally, we're pretty exhausted. And
Yeah.
we had spent 4 years building a house that we thought was our dream home.
Oh, wow.
Life we thought was our dream life. We had
Wow.
everything we had ever wanted, and we were pretty miserable, which was a bit
Really?
surprising. Like,
Yeah, I
we
know.
both built up this idea in our minds of the ultimate goal and the
Yeah.
ultimate accomplishment, and we got there, and it was not anything like we had imagined it would be. And the writing was on the wall for a long time. And then the 2024 election happened, and we're a queer couple,
Yeah.
and we were in a fairly liberal state, but we were
Yeah.
worried. Worried
Yeah.
just in general, like what was going to happen in our country? Where were our rights going to stand financially? Could we survive the next 4 years? Just a lot of questions came to a head. And I think that could be maybe a little silver lining. It forced us to have hard conversations that we weren't ready to have until that moment.
Right.
And so long story short, we decided, the easiest way out of this is to sell the house and liquidate everything and put everything we want to keep in storage and ask, okay, if not this, then what?
Yeah.
If this isn't the dream, then let's go find it because
Yeah.
clearly, we've missed the mark and that's okay. We have an opportunity to make a change and let's
Yeah.
make that happen.
Well, of course. And plus, you're still young. You have plenty of time
Yeah.
to make several
Yes.
detours if you wanted to.
Which I didn't really honestly appreciate until that moment
Yeah.
that you can reinvent yourself as many times as you
Totally.
need to.
Yeah.
I'm in, we're both in our 40s. We don't have kids. And that opens up kind of a world of possibilities that we weren't really taking advantage of, quite honestly.
Yeah. So when you shut that door and locked it to your storage unit, did it feel kind of weird?
So weird.
Did you go just spend the night somewhere or go right to the airport?
No, I mean, we packed as much stuff as we could fit into our car. So we lived out of our car for 4 months. I mean, lived out of our car that's maybe not a fair statement because we Airbnb hopped for 4 months. And we had a rental in Portland and we were so numb. We
Yeah.
were kind of in shock. We emptied the house. Everything's in storage. We have 5 Tupperware bins and a couple suitcases and a Yakima on top of our car and our 2 dogs. And I mean, that thing was stuffed to the gills. We had like a paper map of how to fit everything into the car because it was really, there was no room left. And those first 2, yeah, that first night was hard. It was
Yeah.
just like, what did we do?
Yeah.
There's this liminal space ahead of us. We don't have a home.
Yeah.
Intentionally, I was on sabbatical from my job. Everything was on pause, but it
Mhm.
also felt like in the realm of nothing is like the possibility
Right.
for anything. And I just
Right.
sort of held on to that question mark would be a good thing for us in the end.
Well, I find it sounds exciting,
It
but
was exciting. It was exciting. Yeah. And we traveled for,
yeah,
4 months and that was so life affirming. One of the best things I think we've ever done.
just here in the States, or did you go other?
Yeah, we drove the whole West Coast. So we
Okay.
drove up into Port Angeles and stayed in the
Mm,
Olympics, and then we got on the 101 and we drove the whole coastline
nice.
all the way down to Joshua Tree and then back
Yeah,
up the east side of California, and it was
nice.
remarkable.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
And also, you probably learned a little bit more about each other too, being in a car together for a year,
Yeah,
right?
basically, yeah, we've been together 17 years, but that's a test for sure. Like,
Yeah.
you're living in a car. There were moments on the trip, especially I'll never forget. We were driving out of Joshua Tree. We're headed to Sequoia National Park. If you've ever been in the Mojave Desert on that side of California, when
Mhm.
I say there is nothing there, I mean
Yeah.
there is
Nothing.
nothing there.
Right. Right.
And we're in a new car. Like, I know we're going to be fine, but there was this pocket where we're driving out of the desert. We have no cell service. It's just like us and our dogs. And I realized, like, literally no one on the planet but my partner knows where I am right now. And if anything, like, nothing's going to happen. But if anything were to happen, like, she's my lifeline. And I
Yeah.
think that, yes, there could have been moments for tiffs and arguments and things like you're in this really interesting situation, but she was the only person who was a witness of that entire time, and so
Yeah.
all that petty stuff just kind of
Yeah.
dissolved, like, there's no space for it
Yeah.
in that circumstance.
So that's a great transition into out of all the places you were that you went, why did you choose Whidbey Island and why did it feel like it was going to be home?
Yeah, I love that question because we had chosen it before we even left on our trip.
Oh.
We before the trip came about, before the house was on the market, like this was in early days of, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to make a massive pivot
Mhm.
potentially. And looking at, okay, if we let go of this house, what are our options?
Mhm.
Financially, where could we go? We knew we wanted smaller town. We knew we wanted smaller community. I didn't know we wanted this small, but
Mhm.
I think a part of us did.
Right.
We wanted a community that was fairly liberal and
Mhm.
a little bit radical and where our vote maybe had a little more sway and where we could
Mhm.
have a real contribution to the
Mhm.
community, where our resources could go a little further and where we could contribute something as well
Yeah.
financially. So we're like, that's a lot of check boxes
Yeah.
for a small town. There's only so
Yeah.
many towns on the West
On an
Coast
island.
on an island. Right? So we got on Zillow as one does and started looking
Yeah.
around. And I came across this house in Langley, Washington. And I'm from Washington, but I never heard
Yeah.
of Langley. So Langley. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out.
Right.
Oh, Whidbey Island. Like I
Yeah.
have fond memories, very faint but fond memories of coming here as a kid.
Right.
Fort Casey and Pass and Practical Magic is one of my
Right.
all-time favorite movies,
Of
so,
course.
like, there's, like, little moments, but
Yeah.
it had never been something I thought would be home. I sent it to my wife, and I thought this could go one of 2 ways. Either she'll be like, "In no situation am I ever gonna live on an island,"
Right.
or, "This could be kind of amazing," and she said,
Right.
"That looks like it can be amazing."
Yeah.
So we booked a 5-day trip. We came up here. We stayed in a little cabin. It was November. It was dark. It was cold. It was rainy. There's
Yeah.
no street lights. There was
Right.
no light pollution. And for whatever reason, we were like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the place.
Right.
Yeah, it was magical. I mean, we get off the ferry, you feel like you're in another world. We drove through Langley. It's November and there's pride flags everywhere. And that really, I'll never forget it. I've never seen such an outpouring of
Mhm.
community support and allyship in such a small town. And it
Mhm.
really just captured our attention.
Yeah. So this next question it's almost like I almost didn't write it because it sounds almost like for me. Duh. However, I want people to hear it from you. And you spoke, you know, wanting to live in an outwardly queer friendly community. Why was that important a part of choosing? where you put down your roots. I want
Yeah.
people to hear that from you instead of me just making up what I think.
Sure. I
Mhm.
mean, as a queer couple, we're not the only marginalized community in our country right now. And I would say, unfortunately, we're not even the only attacked marginalized
Right.
community in our country right now. But our rights are regularly on the chopping block.
Hmm.
Even things that feel so obvious and easily protected are not. And so, not knowing would our marriage be protected, would our financial rights be protected, like, all these things that I think we can easily take for granted when
Yeah.
we're not in a queer partnership. We just didn't know what to expect. And then when there's someone in office who is a fairly outspoken and egregious towards so many different kinds of people who vote in alignment with that just feel a little bit more okay to put you down.
Right.
And even in Portland, which is a very liberal city, we started to feel unsafe. We
Yeah.
wouldn't hold hands in town. You clock people a mile away and feel like, okay, we have to protect ourselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a hyper vigilant way to live.
Right.
And so being in an outwardly queer supportive community means we're not having to be the only ones to watch our backs. And, we have queer neighbors. I have queer business owners on either
Hmm.
side of me in Langley. There's people running for office who are gay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a, not just an outward representation, but
Mm.
never once has my wife or I walked into a business or a restaurant or a coffee shop or the library or the gas station
Right.
and for 1 second had to take a look around before we felt like we could take a breath. And you don't realize how much you're doing that until you live somewhere where you don't have to do that.
Yeah. And the only thing that me that I've ever had to experience that in my own life is just from being a woman. If you go somewhere where it's dark and you feel unsafe,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
not just from living my life down in
Yeah.
daylight
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a fairly feminine woman and I
Hmm.
present feminine and
Hmm.
I heteronormative
Hmm.
and my wife does not.
Hmm.
And we've done the allyship thing for decades together,
Hmm.
the bathroom buddy and the let
Hmm.
me check it out before you go in there by yourself. I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Even in pockets on the island. That's just life.
Yeah.
When we were on our trip, people asked us why we didn't go off the West Coast. And I thought, well, that's the basis of that question assumes you don't understand what's out there right now. Like we
Right.
can't.
Yeah.
It's not physically safe for us to leave the West Coast. So that was a major consideration
Yeah.
for us. Yeah. And then coming here and wanting to come here for a little bit of protection and then finding so much life here and
Yeah.
so much vibrancy and kindness and yeah, things that I didn't even know I was missing.
Yeah. It's great.
That's amazing.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your cute little retail store, Little Gemme.
Yes,
So you spent 15 years as a life
I
coach,
did.
right?
Yeah.
So what drew you to that work, life coaching?
Yeah. I think it's I don't know if coaching was the thing I was always great at, but from the time I was very, very little, just that empathetic
Hmm.
listening ear, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. And it was either coaching or therapy, but I
Yeah.
kind of felt from a very young age that was one of my gifts, and it was mirrored back to me constantly. That that's the thing I'm great at,
Mhm.
and therefore I think I glommed onto that very early as a thing that I could do professionally, and I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, I had a number of really wonderful years
Mhm.
in that work.
Well, you do have a very calming voice and a very approachable way that you speak and hold yourself. So I can see that. I can
Really
see a
appreciate
therapist
that.
too. Totally.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I would say that life coaching is, I wouldn't say business coaching is more like that, but life coaching is more like that
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah. A
Mm.
number of times, even though I would remind my clients regularly, I'm not your therapist.
Yeah.
That's not my lane. The stories are stories and people want to share, they want to share.
Hmm.
And I would have hundreds of conversations a month and there would regularly be things that people were telling me they've never told anyone before.
Hmm.
I took that very seriously.
Hmm.
Even though my role was not in a healing capacity or
Right.
mental health capacity, that was very much the space that I held for almost, 15 years.
Wow. Wow. You miss it?
No, no. Well, I adore you all. I miss you.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't miss the practice. No, I don't miss it.
So you have said that it came to a natural end.
Yeah, it did.
So how did you know it was time for something different?
Yeah, I think I knew I was complete with coaching before it was time, before I knew I wanted to do something else. I burnt out. That's like
Mm.
the only way I can say it. I burnt out mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I was
Mm,
so exhausted.
yeah.
Also, coaching is kind of a funny field and it's unregulated and I won't get into the details of the industry, but you don't just get to be a coach with a practice and it fills up and people come to you with, it's, you also have to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And the business side of that industry is hard. It's
Hmm.
really, really hard. The statistics on it are really harsh. And I was fairly successful, but it required a lot of me. And so I burnt out on the business side of coaching far earlier than I burnt out
Hmm.
on the actual holding
Coaching.
of
Yeah.
the space. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't miss that hustle. I don't miss that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why some people, especially in certain genres, don't lean towards the business side is
Mhm.
they let other people do it.
I see why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I do.
I know. I know. So real quick before we move on from
Yeah.
this, what is the difference between life coaching and a therapist?
Yeah, well, therapy is really designed, and for therapists who are listening, please forgive me if I
Mhm.
speak out of term. They are there as advocates and support for people who are moving through something in a mental health capacity.
Okay.
Although I think therapy can be used for a myriad of things. It could be an adjustment period, transition, or it could be on one extreme end, the
Mm.
treatment of a mental disorder. Life coaching in its most like basic form is about supporting people through goal achievement and moving toward maybe a path or an idea or a job that they want to move in the direction
Mm.
of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They really are quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hadn't really thought about it. But then it's like, well, life
Yeah.
can be mental.
Life is mental. It is
Very.
mental. Yes, it is. And positive thinking is not the band-aid that's been cracked up to be. So
Right.
while I would support
That's
people
the truth.
in moving toward actualizing, ideas they had for themselves, it often was moving through the stuff that was blocking them that I spent most of my time coaching.
So let's talk about Little Gemme. And
Yeah.
like I said,
Give it a baby.
I'm a yes, I'm a fashion girly for sure. Always have
Same.
been. And I think I told you this when I was visiting you in your store that my mom knew at 5
Yeah.
when I was just taking little bathing suits off of the rack to go in the in the dressing room, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no,"
She knew.
she
Huh.
knew. Okay, so but you see clothing as something more,
I
right?
do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so how would you describe your philosophy about fashion?
Oh my gosh. No one's ever asked me that before. I think clothing first and foremost is just very playful.
Yes.
And I have a great photograph of me at 3 with a basket of dress up clothes that my mom got
Oh,
me for
fun.
Christmas, and I made
Mhm.
my brother and I play dress up, and I got, like, a Rudolph toy as my accessory, and I've got a
Right.
hat and gloves and a pettifourt and all this tulle and my hands and, crossed all prim and proper. It was playful, and
Okay, send me that for social media
I will
posts.
send it to you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the hearth in the living room. So I'd say it's playful and I think it's
Mhm.
creative. And I think it's a way I think what happens is fashion becomes a way we project ourselves to the world. And often that becomes another place for scrutiny and judgment, unfortunately. And I see so many women, myself included, or people who, are gender non binary, have a tendency, we all do, to dress the part we think the world wants from us or to
Mm.
dress the part we think will get us the most acceptance and love versus dressing who we are.
Yeah.
And and I think the time I was the most free with my fashion was probably when I was in college. And
Mm.
I just took so many creative risks and I was thrifting all the time and going to vintage shops and wearing
Mhm.
lots of layers and just like weird stuff. But it was
Whatever you felt at
whatever
that
you
time.
felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was so much fun. And it's funny, I've reconnected with my college roommate and she has similar memories of
Mm.
like the way that we would play off each other and what a creative outlet that was for us at the time.
How fun. So I'm from Texas. And so a lot of people from the South don't consider Texas the South. So I'm going to say Southwest. But it still had all of the dress code type
Yeah.
things. What you wear on Sunday, what you wear out. I remember one of my best friends when she was shopping for her first career clothing. She was a court
Mhm.
reporter and
Mhm.
we were in the dressing room and she was sitting on a bench with a skirt on in the mirror to see all the different ways she could move to make sure that no one could see up her dress and how to cross her ankles and how to cross her legs and all that type of thing. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm on a little machine and everybody can see me head to toe. But she said, you're at a desk, and so you don't have to see if someone's looking at your
Mm.
dress.
Yeah.
I'm like, and do they?
Absolutely.
She said, yes, they do.
I believe her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, it definitely can be defining,
For sure.
especially down there where I grew up. I mean, definitely the dress codes of when to wear white and when not,
Yes, I just had
all that
this
type of thing.
playful argument with my friend about this who's from the South. I was like, "What is your thing with white jeans?" And she's like, "You cannot wear them after Labor Day." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Is this a real rule that people say?"
It was. And I see
What?
right now so many women in their 20s wearing this whole look of Laura Ashley.
Mm,
I didn't really like it when it was out, but Laura Ashley came out when I was in high school.
yes,
The floral
yes,
dresses from head to toe,
yes,
and it is back because
yes.
everything always comes back.
I just sold a '90s silk Laura Ashley printed wrap skirt that I
Mm,
was obsessed,
that's
not
with
my size,
right.
obsessed with. And I gushed with the woman who bought it. I think she was like, "Can I just have my skirt, please?" And I talked her ear up for about 30 minutes about this darn skirt. Because yeah, that's a returning trend
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, and for me, and this is just my opinion, listener. So if you are of a certain age and you wear floral head to toe, I personally feel it makes me look grainy and I will not do it. I will do it in a skirt,
Yeah,
but it has to have a solid with
yeah.
it or something like that. But yeah, these young women in their 20s when they go into the department stores can pull all that off the rack and it just looks like someone puked flowers everywhere.
It's like gunny sacks.
Gunny said,
Love the gunny sacks. And I come across them in the thrift and I think, I can't do it.
but you have to
More power
remember
to them.
too that when she came out, it also sheets,
Yeah,
comforters. I
yeah,
had friends, their entire room was Laura Ashley.
yeah, yeah. I think I had a Laura Ashley printed canopy
Yeah.
with the dust ruffle on the
Yes.
mattress.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have long believed in sustainable fashion. Me too.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean to you personally?
Oh gosh. This would be a triggering one, but in the best way. I
Okay.
I've loved secondhand since I was a kid.
Hmm.
And this was just, happening as an aside. But my mom and I were big thrifters and,
Hmm.
our favorite hobby was coffee and consignment shopping from the time I was very, very young. And we didn't thrift. My memory of it is, there's a number of folks I know who had to thrift because they didn't have the means or
Hmm.
they got hand-me-downs because they didn't have the
Hmm.
access. And I was very privileged that that wasn't how was happening in my home.
Right.
So thrifting was a creative outlet, and it was
Hmm.
something. And we would go to the rack, off
Hmm.
the
Yes.
rack. Back when Nordstrom Rack wasn't its own company, but it was
Yes.
literally off the rack, and you would go
Me too.
down in Seattle, and there would literally be one of everything because it was
Hmm.
what was left.
That was it. Yeah.
That was the original dead stock.
Yeah.
It was like a horror issues of the treasure hunting
Hmm.
and the thrill, they call it the thrill of the hunt, of the find. I've had that bug since I was
Yeah.
a kid. I have I'll show you this really funny photo album I made of my wardrobe when I was
Yeah.
13
See that?
that my mom kept all these years,
Oh,
and I
how
don't know
cool.
how or why. I still have it. It's this little 4x6 photo album. We went down to 1 hour print
Yeah.
to get these photos printed. And half the clothes in there are from the Goodwill.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember picking out all these graphic tees and
Yeah.
funny things and
Yeah.
putting them with floral skirts and chunky boots. And so I digress. So sustainability grew out of just a love of the creativity that you could have in a thrift store or a
Hmm.
vintage shop or a charity shop. Today, I think it's a far more
Hmm.
significant issue for me just
Yeah.
because I dug into you don't have to dig very far to understand the realities of where
Mhm.
fashion is in this moment and the the climate impact and the just the result of fast fashion and what it has done to
Mhm.
the planet and the labor laws and also the hyper use of synthetics and the impact that's having on our skin and our air quality. And then the quite literally 14 million tons of clothing that
Yeah.
are thrown into the ocean every year
Yeah.
that don't sell. So for me, sustainability is the most responsible
Yeah.
way to clothe ourselves. There's
Mhm.
more clothing, and you can fact check this, more clothing in circulation today than we need to clothe the next 6 generations of people.
Yeah. Read
That
that stat before
it just
too.
compounds,
Yeah.
So it feels like one of the it's like the smallest lift I can make to only buy secondhand, with the
Mhm.
exception of a few things that I just think for hygienic
Yeah.
purposes, and that's the lift I'm gonna make.
So I am a 50-50 in this group of recycling, repurposing clothes. meaning that I really also like to support local businesses
Yeah.
that have clothes that everyone else doesn't have,
Yeah.
like what I have on today.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, this literally came from a market in Provence when I went with my girlfriends.
Such a cool story.
I've been to some little shops, the cutest things where the people who own it made the clothing in Canada.
Amazing.
So I'm big into that too. If I
Right.
find a shop
Yeah.
that it's just unique, it's different,
Yeah.
not everybody's going to have it on.
Yeah.
Because I also am highly offended by all of these companies, especially in China, who immediately copy other people's things
Yeah.
immediately
Yeah.
for fast fashion.
Yeah. Dupes are a real problem.
Yeah, so that people can afford it. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean maybe that prices should come down where people can afford things that are unique? If your budget is $20 for a dress and you can buy something that looks amazing that was on the runway,
Yeah.
I understand the pull to it for sure,
Totally.
but I have a rule for myself. So, for instance, when I went to your shop and bought a couple of cool things, I went home and took 3 things out of my closet to donate. I always replace so that I don't get too much and I'm not wearing things or have things in my closet that I never wear. Now, I will have to say it's harder here. I got rid of a load of stuff before I moved here because it's not a thing here.
Yeah.
And plus, where are you going to wear it? You know,
I hear that a lot.
almost all of my pumps are gone. I had to switch to, wedge heels or chunky ones. Yes, or chunky ones. So walking across my gravel driveway,
It's a real
tearing them
thing.
up,
Yeah.
that's a real thing. But I try my best, especially in
Yeah.
the summer because it's not very long here, wear what I have or what am I doing with it in my closet.
Totally.
So I'm totally in that same circle with you for sure.
Imagine if Oak Harbor had a place where music, theater, and creativity could thrive all year round. The Oak Harbor Creative Arts Foundation is exploring something big, a performing arts center and makers space to expand arts access, support local artists and youth, and strengthen our community. Right now, they're in the feasibility phase, building awareness and community support before any fundraising begins. One of the easiest ways to help is to add your name to their petition of support. No money asked, just show you believe in. Imagine Oak Harbor for all of Whidbey Island. Visit the website today and add your name. Creative communities don't just happen, they're imagined first. Go to ohcaf.org to show you also. Imagine Oak Harbor.
So Little Gemme used to started off and was for a long time an online store, correct? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what convinced you that this was time to create a space, a retail space that people can come to?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I sold on a platform called Whatnot for not very long. It was even a year and a half. It's a very difficult platform to be, in my opinion, successful on, and more power to those who are doing it every day. These are folks who are selling pallets and pallets of liquidated dead stock. And I just think blessed that they've picked up that baton. It's not for me. So we came to the island last summer. I thought, okay, I'm going to give myself to the fall, go back to my coaching job. I was, had 3 clients left. And I was really trying to pick it back up. And I was, gifting, coaching. I was getting back into the swing of things and it just wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
And there was a big, again, that liminal question mark, okay, what next? I had joked before we moved here that I was going to get an Airstream and just have a little pop up in my little wagon.
Yeah.
And then I went to get my hair cut, as one does. And I was at Say Moss Salon, which I share a lot with in the shop. And the owner of Bandbox Beauty, Sarah, is who does my hair. And Bandbox had to close last year, unfortunately, because of the tariffs, and she couldn't sustain it. And I totally appreciate where she was coming from. And so the space was empty. And I'd known that she'd done pop-ups over the holidays. And so we were just having a very casual conversation about thrift and secondhand. I had just gotten a good cheer and got some goodies. And so I was talking about all my finds. And I don't know what compelled me to say. It was like my lips were moving before my brain understood the implication of what I was about to ask. Would you ever consider a secondhand pop-up next door? And without hesitating, she said, yeah, that'd be amazing. I think people would love it. And at first it was going to be 3 days. Okay, I'll just do a weekend.
Okay.
Mind you, I had no inventory left because when we had sold the house, I got rid of I thought, okay, I'm going to close this chapter again. This is the number of times I've tried selling secondhand online or vintage going back to my early 20s. So I had nothing left. And I thought, we'll just do like a quick little 3-day event. That'd be so fun. And then I start to think about it, well, maybe a month. And then a couple weeks later, as we're going through this is absolutely crazy. We should not do this, to I have to do this, to this would be ridiculous not to try, to I couldn't talk about it without getting so emotional.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, this is coming from a very young part of me that has wanted to do something like this
Yeah.
since she was a kid. And mom and I used to joke about having a consignment shop. And when I was in high school, all my friends would borrow out of my closet, and people would ask me, where'd you get that? And I'd say Andrea's Closet, and people thought it was a store. And so my mom wanted to have a shop called Andrea's Closet. It was this whole joke, very playful.
It's a good name too.
It's a good name. And, nothing ever came of it because it's a huge undertaking. And then here I found myself signing a lease for a month, and I went in to have the final walkthrough with Sarah, and I said, can I stay for the summer? I think with the amount of work it's going to take, it would be worth keeping it for a few months. And she said, absolutely. So I signed on the dotted line, and there you have it. That was February. And then I got to work very quickly, collecting as many items as I could possibly get my hands on for the launch in the summer.
Well, it's a lovely shop.
Thank you.
I really like it.
I really like it too.
So have you found that your background in life coaching has helped you with customer service?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, retail was my first job,
Oh, okay.
I was coaching long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people just want to be seen. It's really not complicated. I don't mean that it sounds right, but it's people want to feel acknowledged. I have at least 1 to 2 interactions a day in the store that really capture me in some way. A meaningful conversation of someone celebrating an important moment, or a story, a reason someone's on the island. A young girl yesterday was shopping for clothes to take to college, and they were driving her down to university next week. I thought, wow, like that's the story. It's humanizing.
So it's more than just selling clothes.
Absolutely. I knew it would be. And I knew that they were just as fun. And sure, people come in and say, I'm just here for a t-shirt. Great.
Right.
I just need some sunglasses. Awesome. Like at the end of the day, it is retail, but there's so much more happening in those walls than even I kind of bargained for.
Yeah. Well, I appreciated that I have never had anybody ask me why I'm putting something back that I tried on.
Oh,
And I had tried on a pair of pink jeans that were super cute.
they were really,
Yeah. And you asked me, these always get put back on the rack. Can you tell me why? That's a smart question.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really that need out to more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you discovered about Langley community since you were opening your doors?
Oh my gosh, what a community.
Yeah.
I knew it would be. It's most every business in Langley is owned by women or women partners or queer women. And that really caught my attention long before I thought I could have a shop down there. The support is unreal. The number of shopkeepers who send people my way, because we're just a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah.
The number of people who say, oh, so-and-so in town said I had to come check you out, or so-and-so posted about you, or there's this generosity that without prompting and without requesting, is just at my fingertips. And that really has captured me. I've also gone door to door as best I could and kind of pushed my way in just a little bit.
Yeah. Introduce
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
I invited as many folks who were interested we had a preview, like a soft opening a few days before the grand opening, to make a little party in the shop. And this is a way to say thank you to everyone who was excited that we were coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great.
So reinvention, that's what this series is about. Reinvention often comes with uncertainty.
Yeah.
So what has been the biggest challenge for starting over, starting something different?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked for myself now since I was 25 and 42. So I'm not employable anymore. So I would make the worst employee. I have a very niche skill set in business entrepreneurship and coaching and now retail. I'm not employable. And so the scariest thing for me was, if this doesn't work, I don't know what else. I really don't want to go back to coaching. It really does feel complete for me. And so that's been kind of nerve-wracking. Like, what if it doesn't pick up? What if people don't care? What if I'm just throwing all this money at something and we're going to skate on by? Like, then I don't know what happens after this.
Well, us moving here was my reinvention, kind of, because I have a technology background and I know how to make money at that.
Yeah.
And I too rolled off clients as I was moving here. and had no intention whatsoever to starting back up individual business, small business clients. And many times I have applied for positions for remote. And I'm like you, I've worked remote since 2000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before remote was a thing, and for companies. So it has been very hard for me mentally to think if I just went over here and got this client, I could make this much money a year and I wouldn't have to wait. And this is really, to be honest with you, the first time since I've been married that I haven't had my own money, making my own money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as a woman, it's extremely weird to me not to have my own money. And I'm talking about making it every month, that type of thing. And so, and starting over with something that fulfills me opposed to making money.
Yes. Yes. And that was a huge mindset shift for me as well.
Huge mind shift.
Yeah.
Huge struggle for me.
Yes. I'm glad you named that because that's something I've talked about with friends. I've always talked about with my wife that I did very well as a coach. I was in the top 0.1% of income earners as a woman in my field. And I don't say that to be to brag. I did very well.
Yeah.
And you get very adapted to that kind of lifestyle. And it provided a lot for us and it paid for a lot. Then to walk away from it because my health was in the balance, to know I may never make that kind of income ever again.
Yeah.
And there was a time when we got to the island and I thought, I'll just go to the bookshop or the coffee shop or the front of any of the cafes.
Yeah.
That's how exhausted I was. That I thought, I don't care. I don't want the money. I just want my peace. And as my nervous system settled and my brain kind of came back online, it's like, no, I have a lot of creativity to offer. I know how to run a business. My wife and I have run businesses together our entire partnership. So I like to be at the helm. I like to be a little bit in control. I like to have a say. But to know it may not look like that. And I just have to be okay with enough. But I also came to the island because I was living a very abundant lifestyle that I could not get away from fast enough.
Right.
I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
Right.
I didn't want any amount of outward fame. I didn't want any of the bragging rights. I didn't want the income. I wanted nothing to do with it because I was so miserable.
Right.
But then when you get back into your working life and the day-to-day, and it's the first month it really got to me, like all the old habits, all the old conditioning, the pushing myself, the original goals I set for myself that we blew past in the first month suddenly weren't enough. Like all this weird, and my wife pulled me aside and was like, I think you need to have a little bit of gratitude. You're literally doing something you've wanted to do since you were 5.
Yeah.
In a town that is like a movie set.
Yeah.
Around women who could not support you anymore and we're fine.
Yeah.
I think you need to put some things into perspective because you don't need old habits to take you down. We came here for a reason. Let's put that at the forefront of you in this new endeavor. And that was so helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you because I don't even think really, to be honest with you, that my husband even realized till we moved here and I wasn't doing those things, that all the extra things we've ever done, or even my own children, all the extra things you ever did, and the vacations and the sports and all the things were because of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Raise his hand.
Yeah.
Raise his hand.
Yeah, because it wasn't ever talked about. It was just all combined and done.
Sure.
But all that lifestyle. So we come here and it's like, let's go do such and such. Well, that kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah. And so that is a real hurdle to jump through mentally.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And so, but I'm the same as probably the whole aside thing of every morning looking out my window and my beautiful gardens, my beautiful view, my beautiful house, that every time we've ever moved, we basically bought a house based on where the school that I wanted the boys to go to.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till we moved after the boys got out of high school that we were able to say, okay, what are we going to do? What do we like together as a couple? And that was the first time we did that because we didn't have to consider what their needs were at the time.
Yeah.
Except college.
Yeah.
And so, I totally get it. I 100% get what you're talking about there. And anyone else here that's listening that in Reinvention, You probably, same thing. It's a hurdle.
Well, the number of people I've met who have businesses in Langley who were in tech, who
Hmm.
were lawyers,
Yes.
who had really impressive, very impressive careers, or
Hmm.
playwrights who ran nonprofits,
Yes.
and you wouldn't know it. There's just,
You wouldn't know it.
and not because they're trying to hide it. It's just like, I do think there is a large subset of people who come here
Yes.
to start over.
Is
And
exactly
one of
right.
my favorite things about my community, that my friendships I'm forming here, is they don't know about that life,
Yeah.
and they don't know me in that role. And I didn't meet them through my job.
Right.
My whole universe back in Portland was about my career.
Yeah.
Everything I was known for was centered in my career.
Yeah.
And that you start to wonder, like, who am I outside of the things that I do for other people, and the way that I benefit from that?
Yeah.
So that's been kind of incredible.
Well, in that you mentioned that it's one of the reasons that when planning my season 3, my first season and my second season was getting referrals from people, of interesting people. And but then I really thought about it and thought, what type of people live here? And the reinvention came up.
Yeah.
People who move here to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And there's loads, just like
Yes.
you said.
Yes.
And then those people are interesting. So I'm still getting the interesting
They
person
are
thing.
interesting.
It's interesting.
I think what compels a person to
Yeah.
do a 180,
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I'm like, well, it was the most obvious thing in the world. But in the moment, it was absolutely not the most obvious. It feels very risky.
Yeah.
Even when you're letting go of the thing that is taking you down, you know it.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you guys earlier that my husband has mentioned running for an office here on the island in the future. But my first thought was, well, you can't because they don't pay enough. and I'm not bringing in the huge bills. So he goes, well, you can do both. I went, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You can have a government position that's voted on by the people and still have your regular job. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you can do both.
Game on.
Game on. I'll help you. I'll do your strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking back, what part of your former life has become unexpectedly valuable in this new chapter?
Well, in the business, this is there just in life.
However you want to answer it.
Yeah. I mean, as a business owner, there's a lot of acumen that I grew into just running my coaching practice for so long. Not the success I had in that industry was not by accident. So getting to reimagine some of those skills, but in a very public facing domain.
Repurposing those skills.
Yeah.
Those skills.
It's been amazing. Just the little details, the running of the events, and the keeping a list of customers and their wants, and reaching out to them when product comes in, and having, I taught a workshop in the space a couple weeks ago called Dress Your True Self. And it was really a coaching workshop. And I found myself sitting in the shop having very coach-like conversations with these four folks who attended, one of which was 13. And I looked at them and thought, oh Lord, like, you are me 30 years ago. And I wish I had the wherewithal to sit in a room like this, and good on you, and someone who is 78 who's still questioning how to be her best self every day. And so bringing in community events is something that I absolutely adore, and people seem really hungry for here. And just the conversations I get to have in this space. I do think that I know this about myself, that I put people at ease. And I think it's important as women, if you know you have a gift, just be honest about it, be forthcoming about it. And I think I can bring the walls down for people very quickly. And I'm a very non-judging person. And I think when you're trying clothes on as a woman, you're in a very vulnerable state. I've never met a woman, whether they were 13 or 78, who looked in the mirror and loved what they saw, and who looks in the mirror and sees things that we don't see. And the number of women who come in and try on something and point out what they deem a flaw happens instantly.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in that moment, like, I don't need to be a hype girl. I don't need to be a cheerleader. If that is something that you don't want to contend with today, you don't need to. It's fine.
Yeah.
But also you should know you are amazing.
Yeah.
And you are amazing.
Yeah.
And you don't need that to define you anymore. But we can pick out a pair of jeans if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think the willingness to go there with people, if they don't know where we're going, it's been fun to kind of repurpose that coaching side of things too. I'm not coaching clients at all, and I will not take you on as a client, but I will happily have a hard conversation with you if it's warranted in the moment.
And it'll be free because you're not getting coaching.
100% free. 100% free.
Okay. So here's a coachy question.
Fun.
If someone listening feels stuck in a career or a life that no longer fits, what would you want them to know?
Oh gosh, this is a riddled with bias though.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
It's okay. It's your interview.
It's my interview. What I say goes. I would say pay attention.
Okay.
Pay attention to the things that feel crunchy.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean you need to abandon ship. It may not even mean you need to hightail it out of there, but pay attention.
Mhm.
I don't think life is meant to be smooth sailing. I think the challenges and the bumps and the things that feel in the moment, like the worst moment of our life, often lead to the most radically beautiful moments in our life. So it's not something that's happening to take you down, but pay attention. Also, why are we so defined by what we do for a career?
I know, right?
Why are we so defined by how we provide and how we contribute
Yeah.
to the system? And so, if we're overly identified with it, if we don't know ourselves outside of it, I think that's a more important question to ask. Who am I if I'm not known for this thing that maybe I've centered my entire universe around? What would I want people to know about me if they never got to know what I did for a living?
Yeah.
And am I even giving that enough attention?
I literally, to tag on to that, wanted to be a writer. And in high school, I took AP writing classes and college classes and entered contests and I won them. And that's what I was going to do. But my dad was like, you're graduating when there's going to be loads of jobs in the technical industry and you tested very high for that. So that's what you need to do because you're not going to make any money writing. And so I was like, okay. And so that's what I did.
Yep.
And did this for years and years and years. And my writing became, I call it staccato because it's technical writing.
Yeah.
So literally when I moved here, I had to take a narrative writing class. I mean, so I could even describe someone's nose. I mean, it's like, it's a nose. I mean, I didn't know how am I going to describe this nose when I'm writing this, whatever.
Yes.
And so this podcast has been very instrumental in me being a way more thoughtful and about describing who I'm interviewing, why I'm interviewing, and things like that. So it's really gotten me back to that sort of thing. And then just on my own little things that I write that no one needs to see, just to practice because you lose it.
You do.
Yeah. My mother is a beautiful singer. And she said, the reason you now sound like a frog is because you haven't used your voice. The reason you can't describe a nose is because you haven't, thought about it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And I think there's nothing wrong with jobs that pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I've been very lucky to have a career that has done more than that. I feel like I've been my work has been very meaningful in every iteration of it. But when I look back, when I was a kid, there are moments where my love for fashion was very evident and I wanted to be a designer and a stylist and I rearranged my room every month and my mom gosh, it was like every 6 months this is getting ridiculous. It's like, but I've got a new flavor.
Yeah. Flavor.
So, but this new hat, and I'll never forget I was in college and I was thinking about grad school and I was riding in the car with her and I wanted to go to design school. I wanted to be a fashion designer or a stylist and she said, but Andrea, you can't draw. And she wasn't wrong. But the deflation in that moment, and it's not her fault. She just wanted me to succeed. She wanted me to be okay. She really pushed and pushed and pushed for me to go into the healing arts and the therapy. And I went to grad school for counseling and then I did the coaching track. I have no remorse for it. But I do think back and I look at young folks today, we know who we are very, very young. Yeah. Whether I was going to be a professional stylist or not is irrelevant. I had a love for something that was undeniable and it was evident and it was everywhere and it didn't need to be taught. I just loved it from a very young age. And I let dissuasion of the folks I trusted around me talk me out of it. And that's not their fault. That's the job of a parent.
Absolutely.
Do their best.
Yeah.
Ensure that their children find a path in life that suits them. But I wish in that moment I had the gumption to say, then I can't draw, but I'm going anyways.
Yeah.
And so the shop is really a love letter to my younger self in a lot of ways. And I'm still learning. I feel like I've got training wheels on. I'm still learning to trust my own creative vision. People ask me how to put something together. And I think, you're asking me like, oh, right, this is my store. Like I'm kind of faking it right now, y'all. But I think I'm doing okay. And also, I didn't train for this. I'm just returning to something that has been there since I was really little.
Yeah. That's great. Let's do some rapid fire questions.
Great.
So, in your reselling of clothes, are you more of a vintage or a modern person?
Modern.
Modern, sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to guess that.
Yeah.
So, are you a coffee or tea drinker?
Coffee. Girl.
Coffee. You put all kinds of stuff in it, or are you a straight up black?
Okay, not black coffee. I love the smell of black coffee. No, I put a little bit of maple syrup and a little bit of steamed milk.
Yum. Maple syrup. Sounds good.
It's good.
What is your favorite color to wear?
Ooh, green
Green.
and navy blue.
That's me. I'm green and not navy, but just green and blue, period. All kinds of blues.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, in my house, I have very tall walls, and in the living area, they're all a French blue. And I'm like looking at my white lower cabinets and thinking, I think these might need to be blue.
They might need to be blue.
Then I'm going to the end of my house, looking across, going, I think that might be overkill. I think it's balanced right now. I think that might be too much.
One of these days, your husband will come home. What are you talking about? The kitchen's always been like that, dude.
Yeah. Okay. One clothing item you could never give up.
Okay. These are vintage. A pair of vintage Dexter red leather boots I've had since 2005. They're from 1977. I can't really wear them anymore because I can't handle heels like I used to. But I love those things. I've loved them forever.
Oh, that's so cool to have. So, do people say sneakers anymore? What's the official name?
I don't know because I'm not a sneaker girl.
Okay,
so I don't
so
know.
you're a boot girl.
I'm a boot
So
girl.
that's the answer to the question: sneaker or boots. I just looked at that question and thought, do anyone say sneaker?
I think so. Maybe we're not the audience to ask.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a boot girl. I grew up up in Seattle.
Yeah.
You always have a pair of Doc Lake or leather boots in your closet. Always.
Yeah. That was the other thing in my shoe collection that I've had to do is make sure I've had boots.
The real thing here
that I didn't really have to have much before, except cowgirl boots.
Yes,
I do have two. All right, morning person or night owl?
Morning, through and through.
Crack of dawn.
Crack of dawn. Yeah.
So do you sleep with an eye mask, or do you like waking up at 4 a.m.?
I love waking up at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
My poor partner. Yeah. We've got blackout shades. And she does have an eye mask for because she's a night owl, and I am up to crack of dawn.
Okay.
My favorite time of day.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a balance of
it is good.
both, to be honest, because my husband's not a night owl.
Yeah, and we get our own space that way too.
Yes, nice. 100%. Okay. What's your favorite place on Whidbey?
My gosh, that's such a great question. There's so many. Okay, the Bluff Trail at Edie's Landing. I know that's a lot of people's favorites. Yeah, because it's so stunning there.
Yeah.
But also my favorite beach is Ledgewood. It's in the Ledgewood community, and it's this very unassuming little side parking lot, and it's kind of a short sand beach, and you can see the Olympics, and you can see the Coopville Ferry, and it butts into South Liberty State Park, and there's never anybody there, and the water laps, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite beach in
Ledgewood. Okay, so what's one word your friends would use to describe you?
Warm.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's one piece of clothing that always makes you feel confident?
A button down, like a crisp white or a blue stripe button down tucked into a pair of jeans.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes me feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
really dying Keaton.
Yeah. We were watching some program last night, and the gal on the screen had, one half of her shirt tucked in, the other one out. And my husband said something about it. He goes, I don't understand that look. It just looks like you went to the bathroom, pulled your pants up, and forgot to tuck your shirt in on one side. And I go, no, that's called a French tuck. He goes, what is that supposed to mean? I go, I do it with my shirts. He goes, no, but you do it in the middle and it's hanging out both sides, which I don't understand either.
Well, no one asked you.
Yeah. You keep tucking in your shirt and pulling your pants up to your armpits. I'm just kidding. He doesn't do that. All right. Last question.
Okay.
So finish this sentence.
Okay.
Reinvention begins when
you don't know where you are any longer.
Oh, wow. Very wise, listener.
Write it down.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate it. This has been a really fun conversation. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Andrea, thank you for sharing your story. One of the themes that stood out to me today is that reinvention doesn't always require becoming someone new. Sometimes it means having the courage to let go of a chapter that has served its purpose and trusting yourself enough to discover what's next. You spent years helping people find confidence through conversation,
Today, you're helping people express that confidence in a different way by creating a welcoming space where people can explore their style, embrace sustainability, and feel comfortable being themselves. Your journey reminds us that the skills and passions we develop throughout life don't disappear when we change careers. They simply find new ways to show up. Thank you for sharing your story and for helping make Whidbey a place where people can feel seen, welcomed, and encouraged to express who they are. And thank you for listening to Local Whidbey Podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe and share this episode with someone who's wondering whether it's ever too late to begin again. Until next time, I'm Magsy, and this has been Local Whidbey Podcast.